Hey guys, so today I'm gonna discuss about the Colorado high school shooting. The shooter it has been shot and killed by the police. Two other students are still in hospital. So this is the video. I will watch it very soon. There's some more information on what happened during that day at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Pictures of the situation, the police being there. It's unfortunate that this situation has been happening a lot across the US and such a common thing. This happened back in September 10, 2025. The basically one day before 9/11, and the same day that Charlie Cook has been assassinated. The unfortunate thing is that more people are talking about Charlie Cook's assassination death than the school shooting that happened in Colorado high school. Why making that point? Because Charlie Cook was someone who literally advocated for more guns and easy access for guns. He never advocated for gun control laws. His idea of controlling gun violence was just having more armed security, which is contradicts what scientists have said instead. We know that to resolve gun violence to a certain extent, to eliminate the majority of the issue, you have to go for the resolve the root cause of it. And I'll discuss more about that later in this video. But just want to point out that there should be more discussed and about than Charlie Kirk's death. Because Charlie Kirk, again, was a white supremacist. He told people not to that empathy is weak and shouldn't feel empathy for others. He disagreed with civil rights movement completely. That's why he's also white supremacist. That's part of the reason. And he was also a huge Trump supporter, meaning he agreed with a lot of what Trump did. The only thing he disagreed with Trump was, instead of not releasing the Epstein files, Charlie Kirk did want Trump administration to release all the Epstein files. Not gonna watch it.
Shooting that sent several students to the hospital. All fire departments respond on an active assailant. A flurry of 911 calls poured in Wednesday just after noon from Evergreen High School. Students there in a panic, seen on this ring camera video taken next door, running away, desperate for help.
And this is something that students shouldn't be dealing with on a daily basis. Honestly, it shouldn't be happening at all.
I was scared and I felt like sick because I was worried. Police say the suspect, a male student, opened fire with a revolver handgun, shooting a pair of students in front of others. Both of them rushed to the hospital in critical condition, along with a third student with unknown injuries.
You gotta also remember the trauma that a lot of these kids are gonna have to deal with. And there's gonna be years probably of trauma, and it's just unfortunate situation. And instead of Trump administration talking about this, like Trump himself going out of his way talking about let's work together, Democrat, Republican or not, doesn't matter. Let's pass common sense legislation. They're doing nothing about it. It's very sad. They rather talk about Charlie Cook and building a whole statue for that white supremacists, but not about these kids being shot at again, dealing with mass shooting, just at the Colorado high school this time.
This is the scariest thing you could ever think that could happen. They don't know if our suspect is old enough to even drive. Hundreds of officers racing to the scene. Authorities say they found the suspect had suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the hospital hours later. Investigators now.
All right. So I was wrong. The cops didn't shoot him dead. He shot himself, which again, this is a very common way for a lot of these shooters to, when they commit mass shooting, they end up killing themselves afterwards, commit suicide, not to deal with the consequences of it. It just sucks because then they never get prosecuted for their actions.
Searching his home and locker, looking for clues as to why this happened. Parents shaken, lining up to reunite with their children at a nearby school. I'm incredibly blessed that I get a hug Brenner tonight and put him to bed and see him wake up tomorrow. Not every parent is that lucky. And we are in Jefferson County, Colorado. This is the same county where 26 years ago the Columbine school shooting massacre happened.
Yeah, and people thought that'd be the end of it, and we still having mass shootings. At least in maybe in Colorado, they thought that'd be the end of it for them, but nothing was resolved.
Of course, at the time, that was considered unthinkable. The incident here in Evergreen is one of hundreds of American school shootings that have happened since Columbine. Guys, so sickening. Okay, Trevor, thanks for.
This is very sad, and this case shouldn't be dealing with all these shootings. Like, it's just it keeps happening. It's infuriating because it's pretty preventable. At least most of them could definitely be preventable. And I'm gonna tell you what legislature should do nationwide. One would be to pass legislation, specifically an amendment. They should pass an amendment to the Constitution, which is a change to the Constitution that would make it mandatory for everyone in the U.S., all the 50 states and U.S. territories, to have people before they can own a gun and get a gun license and everything. They have to pass a criminal background check, a thorough, comprehensive criminal background check that will ensure that if they have any record, let's say they're being charged and found guilty of multiple felonies, aka Donald Trump, they won't be able to own a gun. That means that someone like Donald Trump shouldn't be able to have accessibility to a gun and be able to buy one. End of story. Another thing they should do as part of the legislation, make sure that people have to have mandatory mental health screening checks. So if you're mentally unstable for a reason, maybe because you have a history of being violent towards others, being violent to yourself, as an example, you should not be allowed to own a gun either. Those two types of checks as mandatory will really help prevent a lot of people from having easy access to guns. To be able to get a gun permit, a gun license, and then be able to buy a gun easily. Some states you don't even need a license. You can just buy a gun and call it a day. Make it easier for these mass shooters to conduct the mass shootings where they can get a gun in one state very easily, go to another state, cross the border, and commit these mass shootings. A lot of mass shootings are not even being done by people living in that state, and it's a big issue. That happens a lot in New York, where people go to New York City to commit a mass shooting, for instance, or Brooklyn, the Bronx, and then the person not even from New York. It happens more often than not. And it's just sad seeing people like Donald Trump and all the politicians talk so heavily about Charlie Cook and how upsetting his death is, even though the guy said he didn't care about empathy. He thought that it was a weak feeling to have. He didn't agree with empathy. He disagreed with civil rights movement. Thought it was a mistake. He had no issues with gun violence and said that sacrifices are needed to keep protecting the Second Amendment, no matter what. So he never advocated for gun control laws. Among all the stuff he said, that even more racist, even more homophobic, transphobic, he said things that basically transgender people should be killed and they shouldn't exist. He said a lot of fucked up shit. I'm paraphrasing because he said a lot, even worse than what I'm saying. Believe it or not, you can check. He said many bad things, and I made a video about his death already. I just think this is more important. Nobody's really talking about it in a deeper in the big social media platforms, and they're simply in TikTok and YouTube, especially TikTok, with some of these white men crying behalf for Charlie Cook and claim they're so supposedly left leaning, but then they cry for him, but they're not crying about these kids for them with the mass shooting. Just food for thought. We're focused on the wrong thing and not focused on how to resolve the root cause of gun violence in this country. And it's not that hard to resolve it. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate everything 100%. It will reduce a lot of the issue. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. If you agree with me that we should pass not just a legislation, but an amendment to the Constitution about gun control law, about criminal background check, comprehensive criminal background check, and health screening check, mental health screening check, to ensure that people who are dangerous don't own a gun. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. Like this video, like and subscribe, watch this TikTok files on TikTok, and you can support us on Patreon. Have a good day, guys.